Republican presidential candidates Donald Trump and Ted Cruz are neck and neck in Iowa. In a poll of Republican Iowa caucus goers by Quinnipiac University, Trump has 28% support. Senator Cruz is in a very close second with 27%. Now, in another newly released poll by Monmouth University of Republicans and Republican-leaning voters, Trump has 41% lead nationally. Ted Cruz is second with 14%. Here to talk about Ted Cruz's strategy for the upcoming debate is Ron Nehring, California State Chairman of Ted Cruz for President campaign. Ron, thanks for being with us. Right out of the gate, how do you explain the difference in the national poll where Trump's ahead 41%, first time he's been in the 40% category, and yet they're neck and neck in Iowa? How do you explain the difference there?
Well, part of this is recognizing that when Iowa votes on February 1st, it's not a national primary day. This is a 19-week process that elects 2,470 delegates in 56 elections, 50 states, 6 territories around the country, and it's a process for looking for delegates. And so the single biggest influence on the vote in New Hampshire will be the vote in Iowa, and the biggest influence on the vote in South Carolina will be the vote in New Hampshire. It's a state-by-state process. Senator Cruz recognizes that and has been building a campaign around that process. A lot of these other people, who haven't done this before, think this is a national primary day on February 1st, and they build a campaign around that. But that's not what it is. So strategically, it's a completely different approach.
You know, we've really been seeing a lot of this anti-establishment Republicans dominating in the polls, and now we're starting to see this surge of Senator Ted Cruz. Do you think you can pinpoint why now we're seeing this surge with Ted Cruz?
Well, it's a couple things. First is that this is a center-right country. We have the Republican Party is a conservative party and is going to elect a candidate who represents those conservative principles and those ideas, and someone who has been willing to stand up against the status quo in Washington. Republicans and Democrats alike are dissatisfied with the lack of progress in Washington, D.C., the seeming lack of priorities. President Obama is worried about climate change when Americans are genuinely concerned about the far more serious threat that radical Islamic terrorism poses to the country. And so Senator Cruz recognizes that, and he's been very plain-spoken and very clear, and has demonstrated that he's not afraid to take on leaders in both parties in Washington, and I've seen that myself. And I think that's the type of thing which a lot of people are looking for. I think also in the aftermath of the terrible tragedies in Paris and in San Bernardino, Americans recognize that we need someone who is completely prepared and has a very clear vision to be the commander-in-chief at a time when Americans are being targeted at home and abroad.
Donald Trump said yesterday that Ted Cruz was a little bit of a maniac, but so far Cruz has refused to get into a public sparring match with Donald Trump. Does he fear Trump, or is that just smart politics right now? Well,
I think that Senator Cruz's response was exactly spot on. We've seen these other presidential candidates get into these, head-to-head tit-for-tat with Donald Trump, and they've all not done well as a result. And Senator Cruz is the only candidate to take a completely different approach, toward that. And I think he was very, very smart for doing so. Look, it's not a surprise that Senator Cruz is the only candidate in this race right now with positive momentum. He is the only candidate who's moving up. And in fact, one of the analysts said that they'd never seen a candidate rise so quickly in the Iowa caucuses as Senator Cruz has. So naturally, when you're rising to the top, there are other candidates who are going to take shots at you. Senator Cruz understands this. He's challenged the establishment before. He defeated the establishment lieutenant governor in Texas in order to be elected to the U.S. Senate. This is a different type of animal with respect to Donald Trump, but I give Senator Cruz credit. He was the first to get in, and as every single candidate has gotten in the race, he hasn't attacked them, he hasn't criticized them, he's remained positive, and even when somebody has thrown some sharp elbows toward him, he's still remained positive, and I think that says something about the man.
And showed his sense of humor with the flash dance
exactly.
maniac post, but unfortunately, Ron Nehring, we're out of time, but thank you so much, and we'll definitely see what happens tomorrow at the debate.
Great to be here.
Ron.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Coming up, we're checking in with